Hello again, everybody. I'm Al Michaels, and here at the Garden today, the preliminary event. Good crowd looking on, and they're watching as we pare down to the 8-men and 8-women finalists who you will see in action tomorrow in the American Cup. Extensive coverage on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Working with me to analyze the women's events, great gymnast in her own right, Kathy Rigby Mason. Who are your favorites in the event, Kathy?
Well, with the top countries in the world here, there's many very good gymnasts. The two that stand out, the stars of the competition, seem to be Natasha Tereshchenko from the Soviet Union, who's doing some incredible new moves on some of the apparatus. Also, Kathy Johnson, who is just as brilliant and magnificent as she was last year.
Good field. Right now, let's take a look at some of the top women competitors. This is Gabi Georgiou of Romania. Her routine today on the balance beam, and one of the veterans, you've probably seen her before.
Yes, she's been around on tour for the Romanians a long time, and Gabi is one of the steadiest performers for the team, and she is just an incredible gymnast. She does a lot of tricks in this exercise, some very spectacular ones, especially coming up 2 back handsprings in a row. Beautiful.
Very consistent performer, always seems to put on a great show for the crowd. On the balance beam at the Garden today, Gabi Georgiou of Romania. Another veteran right here, Marta Egavari of Hungary, a lady who first went to the Olympics in 1968 at Mexico City. She was there with you, Kathy.
That's right. You know, the most incredible thing about Marta is that she's just now coming in and blossoming all over the place. She's really a great performer, a veteran, and has the maturity now that even some of the younger ones lack.
A late bloomer, a veteran. Her performance today on the uneven bars. Marta Egavari of Hungary on her way into the finals tomorrow. Now, one of the big stories, Natasha Shaposhnikova of the Soviet Union, her first American appearance here in the floor exercise today. However, overall, she did not do well enough to make it into the finals tomorrow. Big surprise.
It really is a big surprise. They thought that she would possibly win this event, and it's going to be interesting to see how she does in the future.
They say she is the up-and-coming Russian star, but unsuccessful in her American debut. Did not get through the preliminary round today. Natasha Shaposhnikova of the Soviet Union. However, her teammate right here, she'll be tough to beat. Natasha Tereshchenko of the Soviet Union. Her performance this afternoon in the uneven bars.
You know, risk and originality are so important in scoring women's gymnastics, and she has it, believe me, especially on her dismount. It's called a heck backflip with a full twist.
Natasha Tereshchenko, she's a newcomer to American Cup competition. The event now in its 3rd year.
Here comes her dismount. Watch this. Wow.
We look forward to seeing her tomorrow, Tereshchenko of the Soviet Union. But the lady to beat might be an American. 18-year-old Kathy Johnson right here, a dynamic performer. Kathy Johnson in the vault.
And she does just one fantastic vault.
So a great field, 8 of the best women tomorrow in the American Cup from Madison Square Garden. In just a moment, we'll be back to take a look at the top men.
The bridge I'm standing.
Guys today, Sergei Kishniakov of the Soviet Union, a newcomer to the American Cup event.
And about every generation, a new superstar comes flying out of the woodwork, and I think this may be this generation's superstar. The man is just an incredible performer. I'd like to liken him to Mikhail Berezhnikov, the great ballet dancer. He's just extraordinary.
Good analogy, and a man who has a great chance to win it all, Sergei Kishniakov of the Soviet Union. Now here is Roland Bruckner of East Germany in his exercise today on the pommel horse.
And I'll tell you, Al, don't count this man out. He could win it all. Watch the exercise he puts on the pommel horse. The guy is just extraordinary. East Germany, of course, has been a power in men's gymnastics. Well, since their emergence, they were the 3rd place winner in both the World Championships and the Olympic Games, and Bruckner is the best they have to offer.
Roland Bruckner of East Germany, he would have to fall into the dark horse category in this field, but a man who with a good performance tomorrow could take the overall title. He was a finalist in the floor exercise in the 1976 Olympics, and here today, a good performance on the pommel horse. Now the defending champion right here, In his exercise on the rings today, Mitsuo Sukahara of Japan always seems to have a smile on his face, and well, he should. He wins a lot of events.
Yeah, what a career he's had. In fact, he's got moves named after him on 2 events, both on the dismount here and on the horizontal bar, and also a vault. Now, he's got a little swing going. Let's see if he... Oh, no problem. He just gets it nailed.
He excels in this event. For years, he has been one of the most exciting gymnasts in the world to watch. A man with strength and finesse, the defending champion in the American Cup, Mitsuo Sukahara of Japan, a big threat to win the overall title. Now, the man he very well may have to beat right here, Kurt Thomas, America's big hope, considered by many, Gordon, the greatest American gymnast ever.
That's right, Al. In fact, last year in the NC2A championships, he just blew everybody away. He's considered to be a real power in world-class gymnastics now. Now, watch this. He's got a move called a Thomas Whirl that's going to come in right after. There's the Thomas Whirl. Now he's added a half turn to his own move. Tremendous.
Kurt Thomas of the United States, currently the collegiate champion and United States champion. He performed exceptionally well in all of the exercises today. So Sukahara and Thomas are the headliners in a great field for the overall title tomorrow. So as you can see, some great gymnasts in the finals for the men's and the women's, which you'll see the finals of the American Cup from Madison Square Garden tomorrow. Up Gymnastics Championships. Hi, everybody. I'm Al Michaels, welcoming you back to the Garden. We showed you some highlights yesterday, preliminary competition. Now we're down to the finals. 8 men, 8 women competing for the overall championships here. And our analyst in the women's events, former great gymnast Kathy Rigby Mason. American is the defending champion, Kathy Johnson. Do you think she can defend her title today?
I think she has more than a good chance of winning this competition. She was only beaten by 0.05 of a tenth of a point. So if she can hit everything well and no mistakes, she has a great chance.
Figures to be a great event. The men's looks like the same sort of situation. Gordon Maddox is our expert commentator in the men's event. Looks wide open to me.
Al, I think we're going to witness the swing of power that's the most exciting thing that's happened in at least a generation. As we all know, gymnasts from Japan have dominated men's competition, but the Russians are putting a move on them you wouldn't believe. In fact, they're trying to get ready for the next Olympic Games. But out of the wings is coming the only country that has 2 men qualified for the finals, the United States. Wouldn't it be unbelievable if we went 1-2 above the Russians and the Japanese? Could happen.
I know one thing, we'll have plenty of excitement today. Right now, let's get to the competition. Here is Sergei Kizhniakov. He is always a treat to watch from the Soviet Union, up-and-coming great gymnast, and a lot of people think he might be the best before too long.
I'll tell you, Al, he has a style that I hope sweeps the world. He has a very balletic style in his floor exercise. In fact, he works so lyrically that you'd like to see this kind of work to music. And maybe thinking about him, the Soviets have been suggesting each year that the men work to music, just like the women. Gets shot down by other countries, unfortunately, but Sergei is just like Mikhail Berezhnikov, the great ballet dancer from the Soviet Union.
He is a great overall performer, but this event, perhaps, he is as good in this as in any of the other exercises.
For sure. Look at the power in his legs, the great definition in his thigh muscles. Called a pancake or a lateral splits. Now he'll come to a stand, and his next tumbling run will be a very, very high Arabian dive roll. Looks like he levitates for a little while, Al.
Sergei Kizhniakov. You'll hear that name a lot over the next few years.
Little pommel horse work on the floor. Now, he mounted with a double, and he'll dismount with a double. 2 double backs in the same exercise. All right, good exercise.
It was great. The crowd loves it. Sergei Kizhniakov of the Soviet Union in the floor exercise. His score, 9.50. Kathy Johnson, the defending American Cup champion, ready for her exercise in the vault.
Yesterday, she just nailed this vault. She landed it almost perfectly. And she's going to try to do the same thing today. She's going to do a Sukahara in a pike position first. Good landing once again.
Outstanding, and the crowd responds. Kathy Johnson. It's slow motion, her vault again, near flawless.
Now the judges are looking for height and distance, and she has good height, which is the most important. Slightly step back, but not bad at all. Very good.
At 5 speed on the approach for Kathy Johnson, the 18-year-old centenary student. And her score, 9.50 on the ball. In the floor exercise, Kurt Thomas of the United States, a man who has a good chance to win the overall competition. What a move.
This is the first competition he has ever used that pommel horse work. He's made such a splash in all his international competition.
A man with a flair for the dramatic. He waited for a big crowd. Beautiful move.
Now, showing strength is a part of his requirement here. There's a little bit of strength. He also gets his balance requirement out of the way. Nice straddle roll. This is a very clean exercise up to this point. He's going to have to get out of his dismount well. Double full twister.
Kurt Thomas for the United States, who led yesterday's preliminary competition. All of those scores, however, thrown out. They start clean in the finals of the American Cup. But a good performance in the floor exercise for Kurt Thomas of the United States.
Now watch this move it's a pommel horse move. It's called a Thomas whirl. A series of undercuts, which he throws a half twist in the middle of. Outstanding.
Kurt Thomas from Terre Haute, Indiana. Dropped out of school for this year only at Indiana State. He'll return next year, and the score 9.60 for Kurt Thomas. The best score in the floor exercise for men.
Hello.
Of Hungary, an Olympian in 1976.
Marta does a very dynamic bar routine. She's a tall girl, which is really unusual that she stretches out each move the way she does. She really extends, great form, and does some really unusual moves, especially watch her mount, front flip. Easy to hit that head on the low bar, but boy, does she nail it. Good position, Hansen. Watch this move, all the way up to a Hansen. Difficult to pull that thing up around like that. Okay. Doing a terrific job.
Marta Echeverry of Hungary.
There's her dismount. Soul circle front with a full twist, the same dismount Nadia Comaneci did in 76. Beautiful exercise.
Her score, 9.55. In the uneven bars right now, Kathy Johnson, the defending American Cup champion. Good chance to win the overall title again today. Kathy Johnson in the uneven bars.
She's going to have to do as clean and as nice form as she can on this event as she did yesterday. Her coach said that she's going to try to improve on her dismount. She had a slight break yesterday on it, and that's what she's going to need. Good opening. Kathy has great form. Whoops, slightly bent on the knees. A little bit there. Good position on that handstand. She's really flowing well. Really beautiful. Nice position. Getting ready for her dismount. Nice head. Oh, beautiful. She really did handle that.
Kathy Johnson with a big smile and a great performance.
Did exactly what she wanted to.
Kathy Johnson. And now we go to the pommel horse, where another American gets set right now, Kurt Thomas.
Al, this is his best event. And right now, he's leading the competition. He's at least a tenth above Kishnikov, the Russian. And the pommel horse is not a good place for anybody to try to pick up points. But if this guy has a lead going in, man, he is double tough. Now watch this. He's going to go into his Thomas whirl in just a moment here. He'll get back to the center. And you'll see the Thomas whirl right here with an extra wrinkle in it. There it is. Now he's going to put a half turn in, and the rest of the Thomas whirl. Everybody copies that move, but nobody has put in the extra half turn and a hop down to the other end of the horse. Boy, this is dynamite pommel horse.
and the crowd loves it. They respond. Kurt Thomas on the pommel horse.
Oh, Al. Yeah, it looks like a winner.
And as he dismounts, we can tell you that Kathy Johnson with a 9.65 on the uneven bars. They put that score up in the middle of the performance. As we take a look in slow motion right now at Kurt Thomas.
All right, we're getting set up now to go into his Thomas whirl. There it is. Now, there's the half turn and more undercuts. The Thomas whirl. Boy, he should trademark that name. Now, a little hop down to the other end. In the scissors. Great stuff.
Natasha Tereshchenko.
In the women's uneven bars right now, Natasha Tereshchenko of the Soviet Union. Her teammate, Natasha Shaposhnikova, did not make the finals after a disappointing performance yesterday. So the only Russian woman competitor today, right here, Tereshchenko.
She really put the pressure on Kathy yesterday, and today Kathy put it on her, and she's going to have to hit every move in this bar routine. Yesterday she beat Kathy on this event. That's going to be hard today. She'll have to nail that dismount, which she does so well. So far she's moving well.
Kathy Johnson had a
Getting ready for
9.65.
Here's her dismount, and she also did an excellent exercise.
So Tereshchenko will await the judge's verdict right now. As Kathy Johnson put on a sensational exercise with a 9.65. Now on the pommel horse for men. Bart Connor, who was the American Cup champion 2 years ago. Ready for his exercise on the pommel horse.
Well, he'd like to think he's going to win this in the alternate years, and if he's going to win it, he's going to have to make a move right here because this is really one of his better events. He was a high school sensation when he won this 2 years ago. Now he's a good student at the University of Oklahoma. Works behind his back. Look at the stretch. He's really extending out from his hands. There's a Thomas whirl. He doesn't have Thomas's extra wrinkle, though. Scissors hop. Boy, the American kids are really cooking in this event.
Thomas scored 9.7 in the pommel horse.
All right. And Bart Connor is going to chase him with another fine score. That's outstanding.
Bart Connor, 19 years old, a sophomore at the University of Oklahoma. His teammate, Thomas, with a 9.7, and Connor now awaits the verdict as we see Bart's performance in slow motion.
There's this Thomas whirl. He doesn't work with the same kind of flair that the originator of that move has. He's got it lifting very high. And there's the half twist in his scissors. Boy, I can't tell you how impressed I am with the progress of these American kids.
And so as we look at Bart Connor, he scored 9.50, and we'll be back with more. The American Cup Gymnastics Championships for Madison Square Garden. A good performance here.
You're right on, Al. He is fit, but we've got a bunch of events to go. You know, we've still got 4 events, including this one ahead of us. The Japanese have really been the pace setters on the rings. They started, first of all, working when they swing to handstands without bending their elbows. It's possible to see him work a whole exercise. Ooh, look at that, Olympic iron cross in the L position. It's possible to see him work the whole exercise with the exception of that press to the handstand and never bend his elbows. One of his problems, of course, there it is to prevent those swing rings from picking up any excessive swing. He's in good shape right now. Lower to another cross. You don't see many people throwing 2 crosses in the same exercise, especially one near the end when he's getting a little tired. Now you'll see his dismount, probably a Sukahara. Yes, why not?
Great performance in an exercise that probably requires more body strength than any of the events. Mitsuo Sukahara of Japan. In slow motion now, we'll take a look at the dismount, a Sukahara named after him.
Yeah, we call it that because he was the first one to do it in international competition. It's a half-in, half-out double flyaway. There's one turn with a half, there's the other turn with a half, and right down.
Mitsuo Sukahara always seems to have a smile on his face, a winner of many international competitions, and a great performance on the rings here.
Next in the ring event.
Now, you're looking at Sergei Kiznyakov of the Soviet Union. Next up on the rings, and we can tell you that Sukahara's score was 9.50 in this event. Excellent.
Well, here we are in a unique position with a Russian and a Japanese trying to play catch-up to a couple of Americans. I love it. Kiznyakov is one of the most creative gymnasts to come down the pike in a long, long time, and you're going to see some more of that creativity in this ring routine. You keep thinking that there are just no new things they can do. Wrong. right, now watch this. There's a back rise to a handstand, locked arm. Just like we mentioned with Sukahara. There's a giant swing, and now he's going to roll down and show you his first bit of creativity. All right, inverted iron cross, upside down. A whip it to an immediate L cross. Very, very difficult. Now watch this. Roll around. It's called a dislocate, although it doesn't really medically dislocate those shoulders.
Kizhniakov fourth in the overall competition at this point. Kurt Thomas of the U.S. is the leader. Bruckner of East Germany is second. Connor of the U.S. is third.
And that's a fine exercise, Al. He's going to be right in the hunt.
So Sukahara had an excellent performance on the rings. That's followed by Kizhniakov's performance here. Sukahara scored 9.50 as Kizhniakov awaits the judge's verdict. Now Kurt Thomas ready for his exercise on the rings, and Kizhniakov's score 9.50, the same as Sukahara. So both men exceptional in this event. Now Thomas, the overall leader in the competition.
Al, he's got his hands full. He doesn't think this is his strongest event. And I'll tell you, honestly, Kurt Thomas doesn't have a bad event, but he'd a lot rather be on horse right now than the rings. Ah, look at that, a planche. He may have just toughened up a bit since I saw him last. Nice giant swing, backwards. Move called a whip it into an immediate iron cross. That move, I guess, is the one more than anything else that's made the rings so appealing to an audience. Now he's got to do it. A good, strong dismount and not make mistakes and just keep the pressure right where it is now in those other two countries. There it is. Oh, look out!
In an event where he really didn't figure to excel, he does. 21-year-old Kurt Thomas from Terre Haute, Indiana. He'll return to Indiana State. He's spending this year traveling, various performances, exhibitions. We'll take a look in slow motion, the rings performance by Kurt Thomas.
All right, now watch the elbows. Locked out all the way. That's a giant swing with locked arms, just the way it ought to be. All right, there he comes back. This will be a whippet into an immediate cross. And boy, he is right where he ought to be. Perfect.
Kurt Thomas, they have just announced the score for Thomas, 9.60. So he has bested both Kizhniakov and Sukahara in the rings event. For Sergei Kizhniakov of Russia is second. Bart Connor of the USA is third. Sukahara and Bruckner are tied for fourth. Meanwhile, in the women's event, close battle. Natasha Terashenko of the Soviet Union leading Kathy Johnson of the United States, the defending champion, by 5/100ths of a point. Marta Egabari of Hungary is third. So it figured to be very close in both divisions, and it is. And we'll be returning later for more coverage of the American Cup from Madison Square Garden. But 9.40, he was fourth going into that event. And right now, Kathy Johnson, 18 years old, from Louisiana, second overall in the competition. She's only 5/100ths of a point back from Natasha Terashenko of the Soviet Union. Al Michaels, along with Kathy Ridley Mason and Gordon Maddox at Madison Square Garden, the finals of the American Cup. Kathy Johnson, defending champion, ready to go to work on the balance beam.
Boy, Al, it really seems that on this event, the pressure is always the hardest. Not only does she have it from Terashenko, whoops, that's going to cost her maybe the championships as well as maybe second place.
It's so close right now, so a mistake like that could be critical.
Especially with so many close competitors. She's going to have to just make no more mistakes. Good aerial cartwheel, solid. Whoops, another slight break. She's got to get that mental discipline that she has. Get it working now. Showing her flexibility, straddle split.
18-year-old Kathy Johnson, a student at Centenary College in Shreveport, Louisiana.
She's going into another half turn. Right into a gainer back handspring. Boy, she's just as solid as a rock on those. Back roll extension, beautiful. Kathy has a potential on this event to really do well internationally as the World Games and the Olympics, if she can stay on, keep tight.
Kathy, 5 feet even, 96 pounds. And a good dismount.
Double twist, slight step. Boy, that's really going to cost her the championship, I believe.
Well, losing her balance and falling off the beam, and we'll take a look at it again near the beginning of the exercise, could prove critical.
And this is a critical move for her. It's a back walk over to a back layout and easy to get off on. She was slightly off when she started out the move.
So there is Kathy Johnson, who has been smiling most of the weekend, but that is not the case right now after the performance on the balance beam. And now to the men's vault. And Kurt Thomas, the overall leader in the competition. Boy, was he sensational on the rings, an event in which he didn't figure to excel, but he won that particular event, though no individual championships are at stake, just the overall title, and he may be on his way.
You know what's at stake, Al, really? And you won't see it in the newspapers or in the score sheet. It's the United States reputation in international gymnastics. That's what these guys are really working on. Look at the Geigels. I love the way these two young American kids are coming on.
Kurt Thomas, heralded by many experts as the greatest gymnast in United States history. He's done nothing to discount that today.
All right, let's watch it again in slow motion. He's doing a Sukahara with a full turn, semi-tuck position, and a dynamite landing.
And the judges give Thomas 9.60 out of a possible 10 in the vault. There is Kathy Johnson, who was second going into that balance beam event, but you can see that reflected on her face right now, falling off the beam and having her problems, even though they did give her a relatively good score, 9.10. Natasha Terashenko of the Soviet Union right now, your overall leader in the competition. Her performance on the balance beam, very important right now in the overall.
Two slight breaks that may cost her a few tenths. She's moving well, though. The pressure isn't so bad on her now.
Natasha Terashenko of the Soviet Union right now, your overall leader in the competition. Her performance on the balance beam, very important right now in the overall.
Two slight breaks that may cost her a few tenths. She's moving well, though. The pressure isn't so bad on her now. Kathy has fallen, but she can't.
It is cloudy, it is chilly, and we have some snowflakes.